in the library and invited the kids to come down and take a look at the iron lung. Nobody wanted to get in it, but she invited them to come look. Well, the night of the mixer, we had the iron lung pumping and we had the video running and we talked about polio. Rebecca got up and spoke about Rotaract. Of course, we fed the kids. We did a candy roll project, just like Lake Conroe and Montgomery did, so that we could take some candy rolls to some of our children locally. But the coolest part of the whole evening for me was this. Our Interact vice president, tiny, sweet little girl, volunteered to get in the iron lung. And we explained, you're going to have to put your head back through this hole, and there's going to be a rubber thing, and it goes around your neck, but it's okay, we will get you out. You're not going to have to stay in forever. But we wanted somebody to experience what life would have been like if that was all you could do, was just lie there in an iron lung. And my husband's been in it, and he said that when you get in it, you can actually kind of feel it breathing for you. And so Tiffany is lying there in the iron lung. We have her all strapped in. We locked it so she couldn't get out. And we kind of went on with the program, and we left her there. And I turned around, and I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yes, ma'am." "Oh, I'm not really sure Tiffany's okay." And so I went over, and I looked at her, and I said, "Are you really okay?" She had big tears in her eyes, and she said, "I'm okay." But she really wasn't, because something was going on inside here with her. Because she saw how horrible it would be to have to spend your entire life in that iron lung. And as she lay there and thought about being in the marching band, and being in Honor Society, and being in Rotaract, and running around with the green bus and all that, she realized that if she had had polio, none of that would have been likely for her. So this mixer was a huge thing for our kids. And she wasn't the only one that got in. Some others got in, but she was the face that I saw. And I don't think I'll ever forget that, and I guarantee you, Tiffany will never forget it. So, if you want to have a mixer where you live to encourage these Interact kids, let them get a broader picture of Rotary. Let them get a picture of Interact. Encourage them to stay in, because I think if we don't start with Interact, then we're making a mistake in building Rotary for the future, right? So, if you don't have an Interact, I want you to get one. Thank you so much for all your support. As I get started.
Rhonda Harrington, RILA Chair.
Hey, Rhonda! What's up?
Hello. I would like to, Michael Perez, if you're in the audience, please come up also. I have been, as they said earlier, the RILA Chair for 8 years now, and with other duties coming up, I am sort of giving forth some more RILA wisdom to Michael Perez, who we will co-chair this next year. Michael is from the Beaumont Club, and I wanted you to see his wonderful face, because this is the new face of RILA coming up, and I give him a hand. And before, we have a video that you will love to see. It's a trailer of that and another video. But RILA would not be here without this one person. Marcus Juman, stand up. Give him a hand. If it hadn't been for him, almost 25 years ago now. Thank you, Marcus. But if you can roll the trailer, I think that will tell you a lot what happens. over 300 students for our weekend of RILA, but what's even best, it wouldn't happen without all the adult volunteers. If you were a volunteer at RILA this year, would you please stand? There's quite a few in the audience. Stand up. We had over 70 adult volunteers for this RILA, and it was absolutely, I have to take this out, it was absolutely wonderful. To give you, there's another video that we're going to show you, but this is part of the Leadership for Rotary that we are building on these 300 students. Of these 300 students, we have 24 that are selected to come back as counselors. And that's pretty important for all of them there. I mean, I'm getting calls and emails, oh, please, if you have an opening for a counselor, please let me come back, please. But you know, you have this waiting list of who were selected as counselors. But this next video is of our trainers. And of those 24 counselors that were selected to come back as high school seniors, of those 24, there are 4 selected to come back as the trainers. This is a leadership camp. We are building on those leaders. The counselors, we may plan the activities and conduct them, but the counselors are the ones that keep everything rolling, and they're assigned to 10 or 12 of the participants that come in that are all high school juniors. And they are the workers of the camp that weekend. Plus, those trainers train the counselors because they were there as counselors. So we have a lot of fun. We have, in this next video that we're going to show you, are the trainers put together this video because we always do a safety, something on safety to know what the do's and don'ts of RILA are. I thought you might enjoy their video.
Now, usually I don't do this, but go ahead.
Hey, you doing something fun?
Yeah, sure.
No, not today.
Here at RILA, we don't make rules. No guys and girls cabins, no girls and guys cabins.
Also, don't go running off in the woods. Stay on the cabin.
R-E-S-P-C-T, everybody needs to meet. R-E-S-P-C-T, take out T-C-T.
Yeah, buddy, rolling like a big shot, Chevy toned up like a mask.
Hey, what are you doing? Just get a snack. Not for me. It's for a friend. Shot. No, whoa! We're doing something. We're out here now. This is it. Here at RILA, we're blessed to have a lot of ice cream. So don't abuse the supply and just take one at a time.
Say my name, no one is around. Say, baby,
Hey, Lucy, how are you? You?
say my name.
Do you not remember when we went yesterday? Oh, no, I remember you. You're awesome. At RILA, when you're friends with good friends, it's good to have your name tag on so everyone knows who each other is. And so it's not awkward.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Hey, guys, can I get my job? Here at RILA, we're about everybody. Everyone can be involved. Let everyone be involved. Don't bully people. It's not cool.
Hey RILArians, everything here at RILA has a purpose, and you're here because you're a leader. So be sure to be on time and make it out to everything, okay?
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? But most importantly, is it fun?
That face, you look like my next mistake. Love's a game, wanna play.
That is what RILA is about. They from these trainers put that together overnight. to be able to show. There's so much. I want Michael come up and say something too. But there's so much of the ethics that goes on in there, and the leadership activities. And if it wasn't for all the Rotarians and other volunteers and the Rotaractors that come and help, it's amazing. And that's why once you come to Ryla as a volunteer, you're hooked. I think Michael was the first time too, weren't you?
Thanks, Rhonda. Yes, really give a round of applause again to Rhonda and Marcus and Kent, all the people who've been involved in Ryla over the years. I've only attended Ryla 4 years now. Fell in love with it immediately. Much thanks to Jim Baxter and our club who got me to go. If you have not experienced Ryla in some way, I really encourage you to do that, even if it means just coming up for a couple hours on Saturday next year. If you've not come up as a Rotary helper, we'd really like you to think about doing that. Those of you who don't know me, you're out of town, I'm a Boys and Girls Club director. So, I see a lot of different, wide range of diverse youth development programs such as Ryla. Ryla stands head and shoulders above the rest. Rhonda said there are 70 Rotarians, on a weekend at Ryla. And we're doing the ropes courses, running the activities, facilitating discussions, but we're not there keeping track of kids. We're not there handling behavioral issues. We're not there, keeping tabs. These kids go around. It's a fast-paced schedule, but these 24 counselors bring their teams of kids that are 1 year younger than them around, and they basically control and police themselves. It is amazing. I've never seen that many kids in one place where there's not problems, and it just speaks to the leadership of these kids. And I think the one thing that every Rotarian I've seen come for the first time, the one thing they say right away and they take away from Ryla is that their faith in humanity and the future of humanity has been restored. Because these students are already, as high school juniors, great leaders, showing potential, and you can just envision them sitting in these chairs at these tables in another 10, 20, 30 years, doing what you do, making the impact on their communities that you make. And that really not only just, like I said, warms the heart, but restores your faith in humanity. And a lot of people asked me as soon as they heard that Rhonda was going to be handing over the keys. So, what changes are you going to make? What are you going to do? How are you going to mess with Ryla? And I said, I don't want to change anything. Ryla is fantastic, but one thing we have discussed, those who will be continuing on in leadership and those who are kind of be stepping up for. Is that we'd really like to see increased participation from your Rotary clubs. Some of you do the whole 9 yards. Some of you send your money and don't really know exactly what you're participating in. We'd like to see every Rotary club in the coming years have a Rotary program after Ryla, a Ryla program after Ryla, where you invite those students, not only just invite the students you sent to one of your Rotary club meetings, but also hear from them what they experienced, or maybe have a whole program on Ryla from that year. Another thing we'd like to see is every club that sends a student have an orientation with those students. Some of you, a lot of clubs already do this, and you can tell the difference between the clubs that do and the clubs that don't. Because those clubs that don't, we get a lot of questions from students. Some of those students don't show up because they're not really sure what's going on. They don't know who's sending them. The whole point that has already been brought up by Sally and Rhonda, the whole point of youth Rotary programs is to create that pipeline for future Rotarians. And if the students attend Ryla, and that's great, they get great leadership development training. It's a mountaintop experience for them. But if they don't walking away from Ryla understanding what Rotary is all about, and that Rotary sent them, not their high school or not someone in their community, but that Rotary sent them, and who Rotary is and who's the Rotary club that sponsored them, then we're really missing out on an opportunity. We want to use this as we use everything, Interact, Rotaract, to draw in those students and those future Rotarians. So I hope that you'll go back to your Rotary clubs and you'll ask questions if you're not involved with RILA. What do we do? Do we have a